Students are getting ready to head back to school after a sudden day off today. The district says it found suspicious activity on its network and shut it down just to be safe. This all comes as Minneapolis Public Schools is still dealing with fallout from a ransomware attack that put years of personal information at risk. So what is going on with our schools and how many more might be at risk of network attacks? Kent, you looked into that today.
Yeah, I did, Sharon. I spoke to a school cybersecurity expert who said it is no coincidence that two of our state's biggest districts are dealing with incidents right now. And even though we're still waiting to see the extent of what's happening in Rochester, they say no Minnesota school or parent should just take a wait and see approach to any of this.
On Thursday, April 6th, our technology staff in Rochester Public Schools detected unusual activity on our school district's technology network.
Beyond that so-called unusual activity, very little is known, at least publicly, about the status of Rochester Public Schools' technology network and the information on it.
It's absolutely the case that it can take days or even weeks to determine actually what happened and what may be at risk.
Doug Levin is National Director of the K-12 Security Information Exchange, a national nonprofit that helps schools protect themselves from cybersecurity threats. Since 2016, his group has tracked more than 1,600 cyber incidents across the country. That includes 288 in 2022, including 7 right here in Minnesota.
And these are just for publicly reported incidents, right? So there are many, many incidents that are not publicly reported. This is a significant problem, and it's one that has been growing both in frequency and severity.
He says that severity is being driven by a rise in large ransomware attacks seen here in gray, similar to the one that recently hit Minneapolis Public Schools and still jeopardizes the personal information of staff, students, and their parents.
What is it about school districts that's making them targets?
They have a lot of valuable information. This may be somewhat counterintuitive, but the identity information of minors is actually much more valuable to identity thieves than that of adults.
He says that's because adults are much more likely to monitor their credit and receive notifications of suspicious activity.
Minors' identity information can be used to abuse credit records, in some cases for years and years, without anyone knowing.
In response, Doug says all parents should consider freezing their children's credit to be proactive. And a new education bill offered by the Minnesota House would help districts be proactive too, offering $35 million in grants next year to improve building security and cybersecurity. And on the federal level, FEMA's new state and local cybersecurity grant program is also rolling out.
All but 2 states are participating in that, and the money is designed, specifically to help organizations like school districts to shore up their cyber defenses.
But he says raising those defenses will also take better communication so that everyone can learn from each other before it's too late.
I ask for your patience and understanding as we work to resolve this situation as quickly as possible.
Hopefully, Rochester takes a lesson learned from what happened in Minneapolis with the frustration in the school community, which I think is quite understandable. But it's important to keep those lines of communication open and allow individuals who may be affected to take steps to protect themselves as soon as possible.
Now, in just the last few minutes, we did receive an update from Rochester Public Schools. It said that they did confirm that an outside actor has gained access to some school district data, but so far they say there is no evidence that any data has been used for financial fraud or identity theft. Now, in a statement, they said, "We continue working with third-party cybersecurity experts to determine the full scope and scale of this incident, and we will share more information when it becomes available." So there's a lot still to learn about this, Sharon.
Yeah, Kent, and I know in your story you mentioned some of those proactive steps that parents could take. Could you rehash those again?
Yeah, it's really about freezing your child's credit, and there's ways to do that with the various credit reporting agencies. We've got some information on that, along with the story on KARE11.com.
All right, thank you, Kent.